Daniel.
What up, bro?
Thank you for being the first guest on DJ Media.
No problem,
Appreciate
bro.
it.
No problem.
So the goal of this is to introduce people to who you are, everything you've done, and basically your whole journey in this NFT crypto space.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could take it all the way back, just tell your story, basically how you started from A to Z.
Sure, yeah. So if you guys are watching, my name is Daniel Mateo. I basically have a background in like the financial markets, and I got into NFTs around. I work in like the NFT and blockchain sector. I'm a content creator and an educator in this space, and I've been trading the assets for about 2 years now. Before that, I worked in like traditional media, being an editor for like a financial podcast about trading and psychology. And I got into the whole WallStreet Bets and stock stuff. So I've been in like the finance world for like about 3 years now, and it's an interesting place to be. Yeah.
So when did you first start trading NFTs in crypto? And did you start in NFTs in crypto, or did you start in like TradFi?
Nah, so I was a
This will pick it up.
yeah. So I was a district manager for LA Fitness. Like I was in management with LA for sales. So my background was in sales, and interestingly enough, bro, we used to just trade crypto and equities like just for fun, for shits and giggles and sales, like at the clubs at the different stores at LA.
And while you're working?
Yeah, well, of course, on the clock, absolutely. Just like degenerate sales, so you kind of make your own schedule. Like as long as you're hitting like your quota and stuff, you know, like if you guys have been in sales, you know, like it doesn't really matter. Right. Like if you're in bonus, if you're hitting your bro, we would trade crypto, and like at that time, like ETH was like $300, like $200-300, bro. Like at the time, I don't remember what BTC was at, but at that time, yeah. So we would just like get into these different shit coins, like as degen as possible, just aside from ETH at the time, and the XRP and Litecoin, like all those different chains. And then I quit. I got fired from LA. Well, they furloughed us for COVID.
Okay.
Right? So I lost like my stability in corporate job, but I had money saved up. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to get into trading and like take the shit full time. Because I kind of realized, you kind of realize that like the only way to really like cheat the system is like investing your money for money instead of like your time for money. Because like if you're really, I mean, you can do it, but it's just like a lot longer of a process, you know, trading time for money. Versus
and no one wants to do that.
Yeah, and no one wants to like slave away for someone else, you know.
So you wrote an interesting article like a year and a half ago, and you basically made a huge call on the NFT market, a specific asset in particular. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So getting into NFTs around November. I'm a huge NBA fan, like huge basketball fan, like huge Curry, Dick Rider, like huge Warriors fan. And we got an email for NBA Top Shots, which was like...
And this was last November.
Yeah, not last November.
Like 2 years
ago, yeah. So we got an email from NBA Top Shots, bro, for like, crypto platform, crypto tradables. I'm like, yo, that shit sounds hot. Like, that is amazing. Like
ripping packs.
Yeah, because I'm a huge NBA fan. I'm like, yo, that's perfect. Like, I love crypto. So we got in around NBA Top Shots around November, and then that's kind of when we learned about like what the NFT standard was. In terms of like the ERC standards for Ethereum.
Right.
And it was like awesome because it's like, oh shit, okay, you can hold IP on like a blockchain. That's like revolutionary. It's an insane concept, right? But it works because of the tech. It's real.
Right.
Like, holy fuck, like you cannot refute that. Like you can use this, right?
Right.
So then that became like the standard and norm for NFTs being traded, like NBA Top Shots. OpenSea wasn't really used at the time. And then fast forward, we went to we were trading NBA Top Shots from like November all the way to like January, February. And then March came around, and Broham, we call him Broham, but Broham basically just started slamming packs left and right. Like when I say packs, I mean like oversaturating the market with like
he was dumping.
Well, it's like a pack drop. So in the beginning, you could buy a pack. Like my first pack was like a Cool Cats pack, and I got like Tiger Hero Cool Cats, right? And I bought it for like I think $10 to $50, and I sold it the same day for like $1,500.
Jeez.
Right, like within the hour, or like a couple hours. So that's because there was like a limited supply of Tyler Heroes and like certain cars that people wanted to buy.
Right.
You know, so people are like, oh shit, I need this one. I'm willing to pay more for it, right? But just, you know, it's like deflationary essentially. But, you know, as like the assets, you start releasing more packs, taking in more money from the consumers. Now you're kind of making like the market inflationary because there's X amount of cards of one person. Like the scarcity is kind of dies down.
Right, because more people are trying to sell.
Yeah, exactly. More people are trying to get like a bag and like flip them than like collect and like see who you like. So, around March, NBA Top Shots kind of rugged. I think like February, March, it's been a little while. NBA Top Shots definitely, it sold off really hard. Like the hype definitely died down, and my portfolio was down like 80%, like horrible.
Jesus.
And then OpenSea, like that's when OpenSea kind of started catching water. And my first NFT purchased on OpenSea is this project called Bitbirds. And we would see CryptoPunks around that time, bro, for less than 10 ETH, bro. Jesus. Literally less than 10 ETH at the time. Like CryptoPunks were just like a thing, like you started hearing about, knowing about, then you found out about like all the BTC whales, how they were given away for free. And then Bored Apes, and I minted a little shortly after. And the money that was pouring into that project, it was kind of like I mean, I don't know the details, but it was kind of like a planned thing, I feel like, because there's a lot of like big crypto whales involved, like Jimmy.
Right. Like a lot
Jimmy.
of punks.
A lot of like concentrated money at one time, right? Where it had not really, that happened in Top Shots, like Dingaling and these guys would like sweep a lot of stuff because they were bullish. Obviously, they understood like the tech side of it, and they want to be the first investors. Like on Top Shots, bro, Dingaling is famous because he went in, I don't even know how many millions he dropped. He went and bought like the number one cereal of like every star player, like season 1. So like in one day he just dropped like I think like 20 like or 15, 10 million, $5 million. And just like whaled everything, and we're all just like, yo, who the fuck is this guy? You know, so
Jesus.
so those guys were all involved in Bored Apes too at the time. So then now you're like, okay, well, what the fuck is this?
So if these guys are
that's why you learn from like traditional finance. At the end of the day, like you follow the money, right? You're not gonna like try to bet on yourself, your own intuition if you don't know enough about something, right? So like you follow the money, you follow what's going on, and what's trending, and like Bored Apes and OpenSea NFT started moving because Top Shots was very oversaturated at the time. So fast forward, Bored Apes minted out. I minted 4. A lot of us were just like all had already had like relationships from Top Shots too, where we had met. So information starts flowing. Different projects start rotating. And to answer the question, I wrote an article about, because I was at the time I was working with a huge startup that is no longer in the NFT sector because of whatever reason. But I was starting a copyright platform and a podcast with them. So one of the articles I wrote at the time was on the Bored Apes, and I think the price was like 0.3 ETH, which is like $800 at the time for one Bored Ape. And in the article, I actually posted it today on my Twitter. If you don't follow me at Value and Time, that I put a screenshot of the actual article, and it's like, yeah, buy one here. The Bored Ape community is strong. Ape strong together. All the bullshit, cliche, media stuff. I wrote it in the article, yeah.
And that was when they were less than $1,000.
Yeah, one was less than 1,000. I think now they're all like 100 grand each.
Jesus Christ. So all right. So how, when you go from LA Fitness to finding quick flips and big flips and NBA Top Shots to trading Bored Ape Yacht Club, then does that kind of alter your mind a little bit, and does that kind of jade you? Like, do you start expecting to make those big trades all the time, and does your risk tolerance just skyrocket?
I think that's like a really general question, right? Because like you think about everyone's like investment or trading thesis. Like for me, I was high risk because at the time I had the platform I was working with before, me and my partner had split, and I was in a big financial hole. Right. And I had to move back in with my parents. So like for me, I was just willing to wing it on anything because I was just trying to. Yeah, you're going. Yeah, I had already fucked myself. So for me, I was gung ho on any opportunity to like move forward. And then that's when my content platform started doing well with the WallStreet Bets stuff. Yeah. So when it came to like risk for me, like trading equities, like our background, like low to mid caps, it's a lot harder. Like me, my old partner, things didn't go well, but he is one of the smartest people I've ever met, and I'm like glad he taught me like variance, everything that's like, he was a professional poker player.
Okay.
So he taught me everything.
So he knows it well.
Yeah, well, it's the same psychology. Even more for poker. Poker's even harder.
Right.
Some would say it's it's a lot more of like the game tree. So learning, like him teaching me pile solver, him teaching me about back testing and everything. You can know everything about equities. You can know, like, you can have the best data. You can have everything. It's almost still impossible to average like 15 to 20% on like a good day for trading.
Right.
Unless you have insider information. So that being said, and then you take off inflation on it too. So like it really like
it's hard to beat. Like,
it's 8%. Hard to like there's literally book series made on guys like the stock market wizards from Jack Schwager, who we interviewed, by the way, all of them on our show back in the day. They are like anomalies of people that aren't on Wall Street and like were able to make an income or change their lives with equities. But like most people, you're not gonna make money trading equities, and you need a minimum of 25 grand to like trade over the PDT rules. So like all that was affecting me at the time, to answer the question.
Right.
And once you get out of that realm to even just crypto, and like 20% longs are kind of normal if you swing like ether crypto, or because of the leverage that's being used. It's a lot more volatile than regular equities. And then you get into NFTs.
It's even more.
Yeah, but there's also an edge on information, right? So you can track the blockchain for information. You can make a lot more information-based decisions. There's no limit for the amount of money you can move every single week. It's a lot less of a monopolized market to trade in. Right. So like you're not fighting against institutions. You're fighting against man to man. Well, now you kind of are, but back then it was just like every man for themselves, and now like to the winner the spoils.
So that's what turned you on.
So that's why I was killing it. I'm like, because like this is like obvious. Like you just you stay long. Like you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's you just have a lot better edge in NFTs at the time you had. So for me, I was. Yeah, to answer the question, kind of fucked me up too, because I'm like, I'm getting like, I don't even know explain the return, like percentages, 3,000% longs on like
on single trades,
on images,
on JPEGs.
Yeah, so that's kind of what that experience was like, yeah. So now, I mean, my expectation is higher from my experience for sure. Like, I don't think I could go back and just trade like
equities.
No, never. Unless it was like institutionally, no, never.
So you are also well-known, for people that know, well-known in the space for having switched from Ethereum to Solana.
Sure.
And so you own a Moonbird, which some cameras can see above, which now we all own this Moonbird.
Yeah.
But then you switched out the Moonbird for a DeGod.
Yeah.
And so what made you switch over from Ethereum to Solana?
Sure. What really the thing, when you really dive deep, I'm not going to get too technical on like the whole NFT thing, but what really drives the euphoria that makes you money in the most simplest way is like what's new and what's hot and where the attention is going, right? It's not necessarily how useful things are in a sense. So like when Ethereum, the better way to say that is like how much value something really has, right? So Ethereum might be the best blockchain, right? Fucking Tezos might be the best blockchain, right? But what are people looking at and where they're spending their money?
And that's what matters.
That's the only thing that matters.
Right.
From a trading perspective. Now, from a business, if you're like a brand, if you're a consultant, if you're leveraging like these platforms in different ways, these technologies in different ways, then that's up to you to decide, But from an exposure, like if you're trying to be exposed to these markets, NFTs, crypto, then the attention and like the volume and all that stuff, that matters more than anything.
Yeah, it's different to think as a trader than a consumer.
To me, it's always mattered, right? That's the only thing that matters, because look, you rotate from Top Shots, projects on Ethereum. There's only one blockchain at the time, right? So it's just projects, right? Now, but you still left one platform from flow to another, right? So you have a whole entire bull cycle of billions of dollars being poured into all these assets. Until now, we've seen recently, like, I think like the other side was probably like the best. Like, we've had other bearish sentiments in between in like the NFT cycles, short to mid-term, but this is the first like real stag point in NFTs on Ethereum, right?
That's lasted.
That obviously with like the macro and the government and shit, or like the economy, bear market, all this bullshit, all the shit you're gonna hear about, right? So, so that being said, around the other side mint, which I also minted. I spent like $100,000 on the fucking other side, rugged myself horribly. My price average was like 3.3 ETH.
Oh gosh.
And I think that was like with like 7K gwei, so those are metrics for like gas prices, and I swept like 6 of them, didn't get a quota at all, so it was just a terrible play, and I know most people who minted didn't flip at 9 ETH because the assets were up like 200 to 300% the same day and the next day. I think it was the next day. Don't quote me on it. And nobody sold because everyone's like sucking Yuga's dick, right? So Yuga is the parent company behind Bored Apes. So your trading process at the time is not, I'm gonna flip these other side lands. I'm gonna, it's Yuga. I
can't lose.
No, it's Bored Apes. You can't go wrong, right? And that was the wrong play. And that's what almost everyone on ETH, everyone in my circle, everyone I know, that's what they did, right? So Yuga is the receiver of all that money, siphons all that money out of the ecosystem, and they take it and they keep it, right? So all that money that people spent could have gone into other projects on ETH. You know what I mean? Other mints, But think about that. It's like a huge just vacuum, sucking all that money out. Yeah. So now people are left with nothing to spend.
And it leaves a bitter taste.
Yeah, and the sentiment of traders is like, fuck, I just got, I'm down. And then you add on the macro stuff with the government, right? You're adding on all the fucking, president, whatever, for Russia, anything you want to call it, war, inflation, anything, whatever the data is at the time, right? It ends up affecting consumer behavior even more, right? And now you got to so that happened, and Ethereum had no volume. Like, there's absolutely nothing going on. And I originally had set up, so I had already started looking at Solana early. I got into Solana around when the Degen Ape Academy minted out.
Okay, I think that was like November, December.
So a little early, not obviously like around like SMB or anything, but very close to like I don't remember. I set up my Phantom wallet, and I was the one in my Discords that set up like the Solana channels and there was like a group Discord. You know how you can sort Discords?
Right.
I put like a Discord. I started doing my homework. I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, while everyone's looking at ETH, I'm gonna come into Sol. And then all my friends started making fun of me. Oh, Sol's for the poor is fucking. This is before I went public with anything about Solana. This is even before Moonbirds, way back, right? I bought them on Solar because I don't think Magic Eden was a thing at the time, and then digitalized the shit, and then I bought Rocks. Rocks was like an NBA project supposedly with like Josh Hart on Solana back in the day too.
I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah. So I got all these tools. I started getting information, and I just completely never looked at it. I forgot. Like they were making fun of me, and then I just got distracted, and went back to ETH like a pleb basically, and and then fast forward, you look back, and it's like shit. The play was to be on both because exactly what I'm saying happened, where the attention left Ethereum, and slowly but surely, right after like the other side and like the Moonbirds mint and everything, there's nothing going on after other side on ETH because all the money, like I said, like for all the reasons I just reiterated, and now out of nowhere you're starting to see Solana on your timeline, right? You're starting to see, and it's funny when I use these things like timeline, right? You're starting to see other shit on your Twitter timeline, and as a trader of one market, let's just say you trade like crypto, you're not really, I mean, you might, but for the most part, if you only follow like crypto pages, you're not going to see stuff about like commodities. Right. You're not going to see stuff about like fucking corn prices and like stuff that's not relevant to the shit that's in your echo chamber.
Yeah, it's like very like tunnel vision.
Because these apps are like made, in my opinion, to like push it for you to continue using it. Yeah. Right. So I don't know where you start seeing like Solana on your timeline, right? And you're like, oh, okay, what the fuck is this, right? So I started diving in. Back into like the stuff I'd already set up. I didn't get rid of it, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see what's really going on here. So I started hosting spaces, started doing my homework, started building relationships, and basically learned every single thing how I do on Ethereum, like all the project history. Started doing live events with the different founders, like learning about Soport Tom, learning about like the data points on like when the bear mark, when the catalyst happened, like when certain projects minted, when some mooned. When did DGOTS hit this price?
Just learning the history.
Learning everything, so then I can kind of get a feel for when I should buy things or if this is even worth buying or not. Like, are these people full of shit? Are they making real money? Like, what's really going on? Like, what's the edge, basically? Right. Where do I fit in? Right? In this market. Or am I exit liquidity?
That's a big one.
Or am I just going to come and there's just, like, nothing really. And it's a new market, so you're not really going to ever know. but at least you want to try to like make the most educated decision. So I did that, and then for me, I was gonna buy a DGOD and SMB, and all that, but I kind of figured at the time, I think what happened was that there was a lot of bearish stuff coming in with like the inflation numbers or something, and there was like my advisors who were way smarter than me were saying that like equities were gonna rug and sell off, and they did big time. Like the SPY broke under 400, like all of, like the macro stuff happened at that time. Okay. So then crypto started selling off 90% or 70%, whatever, down to like 800. All that stuff happened, and I was gonna buy months before that, so I'm glad I didn't. And that's what I was kind of concerned at the time. If I remember correctly, I was scared. Like my concern of buying the top was that stuff was gonna happen, and eventually I would be buying for no reason because it was kind of inevitable that like all this stuff was overextended after fucking monkey photos moving to like 200 grand, billions of dollars going into crypto, Bitcoin going to 60K. You know, with like no, like in the worst economic times the country has ever been. Like fundamentally, you know?
Yeah.
So there has to be like some sort of correction.
Right.
Know? So I didn't buy, and then I waited for all that stuff to happen, and I finally transitioned over to like the number one project, DGODs, with Frank, and now it's, you know, coincidentally it's blowing the fuck up right now to this day, fast forward.
Right.
Yeah.
So was there anything in particular that made you just go straight to DGODs, or did you just kind of, was it like seeing people had it as their PFPs? Who the people that own them were? Like, what were the data points that made you go, all right, I'm just whaling DGODs and then going with that community?
Yeah, I think at the time is where I saw the most attention, and I think there was a new independent variable that a founder has never been as active with a community like Frank is, and I think that's like a huge selling point emotionally for a lot of people, right? Like people buy off of emotion.
Yeah. So
like no matter what the fuck happens in with the numbers, like whatever, at the end of the day, like if you can close someone emotionally, like you're gonna sell them, they're gonna swipe their card, right? Basic sales shit. So for me, I was willing to bet on like the emotional draw of other people into Frank, because like if they're the blue chip, so even if it's just at the moment, right, they could get flipped or whatever. But this founder is skilled enough. I hear him talk, and he's sharp. He's a better speaker than me. He's younger than me. And he's sharp, right? Like, he can talk. He's not full of shit. Like, even though it's a new ecosystem, he knows how to talk business. He can talk psychology. Like, he can hit certain data points where other people that are big investors are going to hear it and know it's not shit, too. Right. You know, because I listen to people, and I'm like, okay, I might not be that smart, but I know what smart people are going to hear or will hear and think, you know, because I talk to a lot of smart and rich people. So I'm like, okay, if he passes what I think would be, like, a standard for them, it makes me feel a lot safer, because I'm like, okay, people are gonna hold long term. So that's when I was like, okay, he really knows his shit, and you have direct exposure to him. You would never in a million years see the Bored Ape Yacht Club founders daily doing spaces, rapping, drinking, like almost having like social events
every day.
Yeah. Like spending time, like sweat equity with people who are investing to you directly. You don't have that type of like leverage, or that type of like. That's why NFTs are kind of like awesome too. It's like a service. It's a service that you could offer maybe with like Discord, Instagram Live, right, blah blah, but not directly to consumer like that. You know.
Yeah. How often does the founder
of Nike?
Just talk to people and
come on a fucking call, and exactly. So to that point, like someone, and he has a big following too. Like he has a huge platform. So for someone to be like that, freaking rapping and joking, I was like, okay, well this is gonna keep people invested into the project. So for me to make a big investment, like what, 10, 20,000, whatever, something like that, I was like, okay, great, you know. I feel a lot safer buying this. You hear about the other projects like SMBs. There's a lot, like other projects had a lot more internal battles, and like you ask around, it's just not, even if, you know, it could be high risk, high reward, but like especially in these conditions, like where we're at, like you want to be careful with your money, you know, like you don't want to buy just random shit. So for me, that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to sell the Moonbirds, like get rid of like the ETH stuff, because I also thought that what was going to happen was going to happen. Yeah. So I sold Moonbirds, you know, at profit, you know, before they sold off really hard. Moonbirds is a project on Ethereum, this one actually. And I sold the 3 I had, and took that money and put it into Solana. And then Solana completely ran immediately. Yeah. You know, after I bought somehow. Just lucky, I guess.
So it was a good play.
Yeah, for sure.
Fuck. Was there anything else? I mean, shit, that was fast, but kind of went through everything that I was thinking about, is there anything you want to just let people know about if they're new into the NFT, if they're just getting in now?
Oh, like, so how would I look at someone's
Like,
game?
how would you navigate the space if you just learned about NFTs and crypto? How would you navigate the space? What would you do first?
I would say try to get on Twitter, get on Discord. I mean, I would hate to say this because I would have never done this, but I have the luxury of coming from like in another industry and meeting people and shit. I would say get on YouTube and then just start following people and then using them to find other people, if that makes sense. So like maybe they'll talk about a project, right? Excuse me. And that project, you can go through the following of that project and like see who would like basically try to navigate through Twitter and navigate through these platforms like YouTube to find people with like some sort of like substance.
Right, like if this person that I respect follows this other person.
Yeah, just put together informative cues on like where to get information from on the market, right? Because that's what's gonna ultimately sway things. So like software tools. There's like stuff like IC tools. There's stuff like I don't even remember.
Moby?
No. I don't even remember the tools, but there's stuff that you can download. That's gonna like if you want to trade these things, they'll help you like start getting a sway of like what's going on, what projects are hot. Follow page, like just immerse yourself into the ecosystem. So when something happens, you can follow the way things move from a money perspective, right? From a financial perspective. So then next time, if things like go down, maybe you want to buy things when they go up. Like you got to start getting a feel for it, and you're gonna lose money. So I mean, probably start with like money you're willing to lose, and just like fail through it. In terms of like I did it in stocks, I did it in equities, I did it in crypto. And then for me, my edge was NFTs, right? It might be the next bull cycle or the next market that trends after NFTs or something or related to NFTs. If you immerse yourself and get exposed to the market and everything, and now you kind of are familiar with MetaMask, you're familiar with like the ecosystem, you're familiar with like these tools, you have like maybe you start growing a following, right? Or leveraging like the platforms and the projects. Now you're in a lot better position to do something, whether it's trade or grow a business or right. with the technology and like.
So basically just get involved in the ecosystem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Go to events and shit if you can. I mean, a lot of the events suck actually. So like NFT and like these events are pretty much of a joke, but you still meet some people that you never know. Like I've met some dope people at these events too, at the parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely I would say just don't buy random shit you see on Instagram, right? Like Instagram sucks for Instagram and TikTok suck for anything related to crypto and NFTs. They suck. Yeah. Twitter is like the only decent platform to get information on anything NFT exposure, and I would probably like put my life on that. I've never bought anything off Instagram like ever. Like I'm pretty sure the @NFT page was like the only Instagram thing, and they got banned from fucking Instagram, like because they were stealing money from people.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I would say to someone that's new, for sure.
Cool. Well, where can people follow you? Where do you want people to go?
If you guys want, follow me for more this kind of information. At Value in Time on TikTok and Twitter, and I'm gonna be doing a lot more panels and stuff throughout the year. So if you guys want to follow along, you'll see my stuff on there.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it.
For sure, bro.
Yeah.
That was dope.